afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to remind you to give a rise to bodhicitta in order to engage in Dharma properly. So with that attitude, I would like to ask you to listen this teaching attentively. And we are continuing the topics of the words of the perfect teacher. And there were two aspects we base on this teaching from the beginning of this teaching. And the number one is the negative attitude which we have to avoid, and that part is we have completed. Now from yesterday we did start the topic of the correct attitude, or the perfect attitude, or the positive attitude. And in this topic, which is the perfect or the correct attitude, has a few aspects being explained yesterday. And the number one was the four positive mental attitude, which we have been discussed, how to regard myself, and how to regard the teaching itself, and how to regard the master, and how to regard the practice itself. That was being explained yesterday already. And today is the 6 paramitas. You can call it the transcendent perfection. And now this 6 transcendent perfection, it's based on the practice of the study, which means when you listen your master, his or her teaching, and how should bring up the attitude of the 6 paramitas, or the transcendent perfection, then it explains here. It says here, make excellent offering. So this is a tantra of thorough comprehension of the instructions on all Dharma practices. It says, make excellent offering, such as the flowers and the cushions. Put the place in order and control your behavior. Do not harm any living being. Have genuine faith in your teacher. Listen to his or her instructions without destruction, and question him or her in order to dispel your doubts and the misunderstandings. These are the 6 transcendent perfections of a listener. So that means the listeners, when you listen to the Dharma teaching, these 6 transcendent perfections need to be applied. So which means, here it goes. Number 1, what is generosity? So 6 perfections are as follows: generosity, discipline, and the patience, and the diligence, concentrated meditation, and wisdom. Now, according to this explanation, which we apply the 6 transcendent perfection along with the not alone, sorry. The 6 transcendent perfections apply with this practice. Then the number 1 generosity is this. A person listening to the teaching should practice the 6 transcendent perfections as follows. What is generosity here? Prepare the teacher's seat, arrange cushions upon it, offer a mandala, flowers, and other offering stuffs. This is the practice of generosity, which means, so you listen teaching carefully, properly, and respectfully. So you have to prepare the throne and the seats, as well as any necessities that need to be arranged for the program of teaching. It's not simply sometimes we take lightly, sit like a onsen level, and there is no respect to the teacher, and you regard him or her as your friend. There is no respect as a teacher. So why you have to respect to this person? Because he or she gives you a guideline, because you did not know and you don't know how to act properly to receive the teachings. And the teaching helps you to overcome your confusions, and the teaching helps you to open your wisdom, and the teaching helps you to understand better the Buddha Dhamma. And the lack of these teachings, then no matter how much the diligence you put into, and all are effortless. So therefore you need to rely on someone who is, you call sometimes a spiritual master or spiritual friend. In Tibetan word, Gyewe Shinyin. The Gyewa is spirituality or virtues. And Shinyin means your friend or your teacher. So the spiritual teacher or spiritual master you rely on. It's necessary, because without this master or teacher, you cannot lead yourself to the right path, because the many things is lacking. The many things of study, contemplation, meditation, proper understanding, and the proper knowledge, and the proper realizations are lacking. Therefore, you need someone who can help you to get along the proper proceed to the Buddha Dhamma. So therefore you have to be very respectful towards the master. So this is the consider here as generosity. Now number 2 is the discipline, or sometimes you can morality. But the morality is very much a technical word to me. So it's a rather, I better call this a discipline, because in Sanskrit it's called shila, which translated simply in Tibetan called sultim, which means the sense or the feeling of coolness, because we have overheat from the confusions and all the disturbing emotions and afflictions. So therefore you need, or you are looking for coolness or cool, you look for something, the chilly sense, to overcome this unnecessary kind of a sense of heat. So the cooling of your sensation, then in the practice of a discipline, helps you to guard you to misbehaving or misconducting. So we all misconduct all the time, because the lack of a study and the lack of a practice and the lack of a proper knowledge and the lack of a spiritual master. So we tend to be a good practitioner, yet we always misengaged. So therefore, in order to get rid of this misengagement, so one should be very strict in the practice of discipline. Discipline does not mean that you just simply follow after rules and regulations that have been given in the teaching. And that these rules and the regulations in the teaching that you have found are all go along with the logic, reason, and it's a very systematic way and a very rational way that practitioners go along with the proper understanding, and then you will guard yourself and you will protect yourself from the miscommunication, from misunderstanding, from misengagement and the misbehavings. So therefore, the discipline simply helps you to protect from the unvirtuous action, and the discipline helps you to protect from the negative seed. And so that's the considered here as the discipline. So here it says that sweep clean the place or room after carefully settling the dust with water, and refrain from all the disrespectful conduct. This is the practice of discipline, which means you clean the place before inviting teacher or master to the place where the teaching is conducted, because you can't simply invite the teacher dirty place with full of mud, all these things. So you have to clean properly, which all the bodhisattvas did it in the past when they perform serious practice or teaching. So they clean the environment and they clean the place where teaching is going to be held, and arrange all the flowers and the incenses and the perfumes and all kinds of things be decorated, and the beautiful ornaments around. Because it doesn't mean that we need like sorry, I forgot the term, but it's not important. Anyway, so here it says that you have to settle and remove the dust and make place as beautiful as you expect, and make sure that the master or teacher be happy with the place, with your decoration. And it is simply for the purpose of teaching and the practice and the listening to the Dhamma teaching. It doesn't mean that the master needs a beautiful place and your beautiful decorations. So that is something, sense of a very profound respectfulness towards the Dhamma teaching. So that's the number 2. And number 3 is the patience. And here it says, to avoid harm to living beings, even the smallest of insects, and bear heat, cold, and all other difficulties. This is the practice of patience. So this is obvious when we attend teaching, because there are difficulties, there are the hardships. Because when you listen to teaching, sometimes too long teaching, long session, then you feel tired, sleepy. And sometimes you can't sit properly, because you can't just lie down while you are listening teaching, because this is going to be very disrespectful. And at the same time, the climate changes. Sometimes it's too hot outside, sometimes it's too cold, and you can't complain, say that I'm too cold, I cannot stand. Sometimes you complain about too hot and I can't stand. So that sort of difficulties that definitely and surely you will face it. But just for the purpose of Dhamma, purpose of teaching, you have to be very patient. Why? From the beginning list of the time, we go through and we went through all the difficulties and the hardship, pain and the miseries in this samsara. But all are meaningless. All are useless. Pain and the suffering all are useless or meaningless. But the pain and the suffering with the Dhamma practice is meaningful, because this will lead you to the enlightenment, and this will lead you to the right direction, and this will lead you to the real Buddha Dhamma. So therefore, the characteristic of the suffering itself is much different between the suffering, the pain of the samsara, and the samsara, the pain and miseries with the Dhamma practice. So simply you will know how difficult the Milarepa was when he did meditation and the practice. But because of these, the patience and the tolerance and accepting the hardship, difficulties while you are practicing, so you are able to get rid of all the unnecessary suffering, the pains, just with the great patience and the great tolerance. So that's a characteristic of the patience in this statement. Now next is the diligence. The diligence here it says, sorry, I'm rather slow today because memory is not so good, but I'm trying to reflect it on as fast as possible. Now diligence, it says here, lay aside any wrong views concerning the teacher and the teaching and listen joyfully with the genuine faith. This is the practice for diligence. Proper knowledge and a proper understanding help you to build up the proper view, the proper meditation, and the proper conduct. Now, in order to be very diligent yourself with the practice, with the study, one should have been adopted a proper knowledge ahead before listening to the teaching. This is very important. You can't just directly go into the teaching from your house, because you have to go somewhere to learn something, to make sure that yourself is really ready now to listen to the Dhamma teaching. It's not that something like you just straightly go to the teaching place and then listen to the teaching, which would not be that very helpful at all, which will not be beneficial. So you have to prepare a certain degree of knowledge and understanding to accept the teaching properly, and to make sure that there will never be misunderstanding between you and the master, and that you have to be ready to read properly, to listen properly, to digest the teaching properly, to understand the teaching properly. So for that you need time, you need energy, and you need some time to prepare well for the teaching. So this is the diligence. Am I talking about the diligence or patience? Diligence, right? I think it's diligence, yes. If you are not careful while you are listening to the teaching, because you may conduct the wrong practice through the wrong teaching. There's no wrong teaching, but you perceive as a wrong teaching because of the lack of diligence. And at the same time, your another problem is here it says that the wrong view. The wrong view means sometimes if teaching is not suitable to you or to your level, then the wrong view is there. Doesn't mean the teaching based on the wrong view, but you perceive the teaching as the wrong view, then the wrong view leads the wrong meditation, then the wrong meditation leads the wrong conduct. So therefore, the correct view is needed. For that reason, you should have joy to listening to Dhamma, joy to indulge in the proper teaching. So therefore, the diligence, the sense of diligence itself is very much like something to do with the joy. If you are not joyful with the teaching, then there is no sense. So we all listen to the teaching with the joy, and joyfully you are listening, and joyfully you are engaging in the Dhamma teaching, joyfully you are meditating, joyfully you are studying. So if you lost the sense of joy, then you keep on participating in teaching, means just the rules and regulations, or maybe you have something different expectation which leads you to nowhere. Therefore, sense of joy is compulsory. The sense of joy is needed, and the sense of joy is necessity. the regardless of whatever teaching is performed, so the joy should be arising in your heart. So that's the sense of diligence. I think so. And then the next is the samten in Tibetan. In English, you can call it the concentration, or rather it's called concentrative meditation. That's a samten. Because in Tibetan word, samten, the sam is like a kind of a reflection, and the ten is a certainty. So you should build up the mental stability. So in order to develop or to build or to establish the mental stability, then I want you to go through the concentrated meditation. So it says here, what is the concentrated meditation? Listen to the Lama's instruction or teacher's instruction without a distraction. This is the practice for concentration. Simple. It explains the simple. Actually, it's not enough, but it's simple. When you listen the teachings, and make sure that mind goes along with the mindfulness. If you sit there, your mind goes somewhere else and lost the direction, then there is no concentrated meditation. These cause the forgetfulness. You keep on receiving teachings, but when you go out, you forgot. So until now, how many times you have attended for teaching? But it's very difficult to reflect on, because you have forgotten everything. That means because of this, then you keep on participating in teaching, isn't it? Yeah. So therefore, you need serious the concentration. Make sure that your mind is not distracted. Distraction, everybody knows, and some of you may feel disgusted with the distraction because you know this disturbs your mental stability and the teaching. Because of a distraction, one cannot develop the meditation, even a simple meditation like a shamatha, calm abiding meditation. So it helps you to bring your mind into the state of stability, because your mind is being unstable because of the distraction. The reason is simple. Because of the distraction of desire, distraction of anger, distraction of jealousy, there are all kinds of afflictions. So these are we consider as a disturbances. So these disturb your mind to be stabilized. Your mind is not stabilized because always moving and shaking by distraction, so that you are unable to bring mind into the state of stability. So therefore, concentration is needed for that purpose. Now, the sixth is the wisdom. In Sanskrit is called prajna, is a shut up. It says here, what is the wisdom? Ask questions to clear up any hesitations and doubts and unclear points. This is the practice of wisdom. So that means you have to raise your questions. Each and every session you receive teachings, then you must ask a question to the teacher. We cannot just be satisfied what you receive teachings. In the past, people call this is very much devotional, and they consider master is something like Buddha, and you are not allowed to ask a question. And they feel hesitate if you ask a question, and the people say this is improper if you ask a question to the teacher. But in this teaching, or in general, they convince you to make a question and ask. Question from the practice. Because when you digest the teachings and you practice the teachings, and then I'm sure there will be the hundreds and the thousands of questions in your practice. If you do not ask these questions back to the teacher, then you can't help yourself to solve the problems, because you are always in the state of a dilemma, and you are always in the state of a curiosity, and you are always in the state of dullness. So therefore, in order to get rid of these unnecessary, like the mental disturbances, then one be straightforward and put up the questions and make sure that your all questions and the unclear points be cleared up. So that's the characteristic of the wisdom. Now, there are few things, other modes of the conduct, all from the disrespectful. If someone is a very disrespectful, if somebody is a very disrespectful behavior, should be avoided. So that means teacher will avoid you, because master will avoid you, because they think and they know you are improper in the sense of the listening, the Dharma teaching. So therefore, then in the Vinaya teaching by Buddha, it says here, they do not teach those who have no respect. Simple. Who cover their heads, although in good health, who carry canes, weapons, and parasols, or whose heads are swathed in the turbans, so must not conduct teaching. This is a very simple, which means nobody will do this anyway, but it shows, or it sends us that you have to be very respectful and straightforward towards the teaching. So therefore, the respectfulness with the body, with the speech, with the mind, and then when you sit on the law, so therefore you can always see that when the masters perform teachings, they sit on a high throne, right? Higher than you at least, anyway. So which means you are respecting physically towards the master, and verbally or with the speech, you are very respectful, and you praise your teacher, and you admire your teacher, and say that, oh, he is like a Buddha, or he is a Bodhisattva. Although in your mind, you never think of he or she as a Buddha, but you say that because you tend to praise your master, otherwise he or she wouldn't teach you, right? So therefore you say, oh, you are excellent, you are just like a Buddha, I like you, and nobody else like your qualities, and you are the only Buddha. I ever found you as a Buddha. I will never find someone else like you, as much as qualified you. You praise him or her, make him or her smiling and happy. So that makes him under the perform teachings. So after teaching you walk away, then your job is done. So sincerity or without sincerity, at least you show some respect. That's a proper way. Right? And you can't say, hi, come here, give me teaching. You cannot say like that, right? And you can't say that, oh, let's go to the coffee shop and can we talk and can we discuss Dhamma? You can't say that. And you can't say, oh, simply we can go to the nightclub and the bar, so we talk, discuss. Or we go to the restaurant and eat together and then talk Dhamma. Cannot do like that. And sometimes, nowadays, you ask questions through the telephone and WeChat, right? And sometimes whatever. Through the messengers you ask questions, and through the email, and you say that, oh, the air ticket is too expensive, so I cannot come to your place. So instead, can I contact you through the messengers? And it's the easiest way for you and for myself. So then teacher will say, yes, okay, how much you will pay? Then I will talk to you through the phone. So you spoiled him again, right? Because he thinks that you will take a light Dhammas, and then I will take light Dhamma. I will take Dhamma lightly. So the both spoil the Dhamma, and then eventually you destroy the lineage of the teaching. So therefore, manner, conduct is important to perform the proper Dhamma teaching. And then mentally, of course, you know the devotion, the faith, the respect, everything. Not only show off, but inside your mind or the heart, you always respect under your teacher, master, as a Buddha, as Bodhisattvas. So these are the disciplines. So therefore, in the past, the great masters do not perform teaching if you are not respectful towards Dharma and towards the lineage. So that's the fact. Now, next is the teaching itself. An explanation of how difficult it is to find the freedom and advantages. Now, regarding this matter or this point, It's a simple. I think everybody did hear this many times, because this is a very basic teaching of Buddhism, regardless you are Mahayana practitioner or Theravada practitioner, as long as you are Buddhist. So the all teachings must be based on these topics. Now, the topics that is going to be explained is in short form. Here it says, the main subject of the chapter is explained in 4 sections. The 4 sections are as follows. The reflecting, please keep it in mind, reflecting on the nature of freedom. Are you free? When you ask, you question yourself. When I ask you, question myself, say that, am I free? Or I ask you, are you free? Then you have to give answer to this question. So when you answer, then answer should be like, yes, I am free. In the sense of what free? What sense of this free is the free from all kinds of the busy life in this human realm or other realms. So that means you have to consider, you have to think extensive way, how free am I? Because born is a human precious life, obtained the precious human life, and you got a time, and you intend to practice. So when you intend to practice, you have to go through or proceed to the study and the contemplation, meditation, etc. So therefore, you have to think carefully first, and what does freedom means? What does freedom mean? Because none of us sometimes reflect on it, because although the teachings remind you that you are free, and even you are not free, and be free purposely. And I have to be free for the Dhamma practice. If you are very serious with the teaching, if you are very serious with the practice, then I have to be free. I have to get rid of the all unnecessary, like the busy life. So therefore it says that reflecting on the nature of a freedom. Then the second is the reflecting on the particular advantage that related to Dhamma. Because all these are because of the lack of freedom, you cannot engage in the proper Dhamma. So therefore, the advantage related to the Dhamma. Number 3, reflecting on the images that show how difficult it is to find freedom and advantages. You know that, so we don't need to repeat it again. And the number 4, is the reflecting on the numerical comparisons. So these 4 are main topics. And then I don't need to go one by one, because you all know these. These means that in general here, the freedom means to have the opportunity to practice Dhamma and not to be born in one of the 8 states without the opportunity. You know that. So this is a very basic, very general teaching, nothing special or particular. But the problem is that if you do not understand these, then simply getting into the Dhamma will not lead you to anywhere. So lack of freedom refers to those 8 states where there is no such opportunities. So I can skip these to save the time. And so I will jump to the next to the 5 individual advantages, I think so. Yes, it is. Because it says here, so the lack of freedom refers to those 8 states where there is no such opportunity. Means it says that being born in the hells, in the Preta realm as an animal, a long-lived god, or the barbarian, having wrong views, being born where there is no Buddha, or being born deaf and mute. These are the 8 states without freedom. So then the next is the 5 individual advantages. Nagarjuna listened them as follows. Born a human in a central place, with all one's faculties, without a conflicting lifestyle, and with the faith in the Dhamma. That's the 5 individual advantages. These are all you know. I'm sure you know that. I'm very sure you know that. So therefore, I don't need to go individually. And now next is the 5 circumstantial advantages. So that also you know, which means a Buddha has appeared and has preached the Dhamma. His teachings still exist and can be followed. There are those who are kind-hearted towards others. So these are the 5 circumstantial advantages. And I'm just skipping the pages, but I didn't skip the meaning, okay? So don't be shocked when I turn all the pages so quickly. And I'll make the important points to make you better understanding. So therefore it says here, after all, in the sutra, it's called condensed, the transcendent wisdom. It says that Buddha and the teachings depend upon the spiritual friend, the Buddha, supreme embodiment of all good qualities. So which means past Buddhas and the future Buddhas and the present Buddhas are all relying or will rely or have relied on the spiritual master. So without relying on the spiritual masters, so none of the Buddhas being the past, or none of the Buddhas being enlightened. So all the noble qualities is existed invisibly. Now to make it visible, and I want you to get the proper teaching. So for proper teaching, we need to rely on the proper spiritual master. So proper spiritual master can perform a proper teachings. So therefore, we call these masters are reliable master. The Buddha's teaching is immense. Its transmissions are numerous, and it covers an inexhaustible range of topics. Without relying on the pith instructions of a teacher, we would never know how to condense the essential points of all those teachings and put them into practice. Because if you really want to study individually, there are so many root texts, there are so many commentaries, so you can't go individually because it will consume a lot of time and your energy, and perhaps you cannot be completed to those teachings if you go one by one. So the essential points of all can be done by professional master. When I say professional, the professional in the sense of there are many technical way of explanation, and a practical way of explanation, and a politically explanation. But here the professional means the someone who is fully qualified and can perform teaching unmistakably. Clear? Right? Unmistakably. Because if you rely on spirituality alone, or logic alone, or intellect alone, then you will make mistakes. Even you are a professor, and you can teach, and you can write, and you write, and you teach, but with lots of mistakes. Because he or she is a professional, yet not enlightened in their mind. So, lacking of enlightenment of the mind, then they surely will perform wrong teachings. And with the wrong teachings, then this wrong teaching will lead you to the wrong view, wrong meditation, and the wrong conduct, then lead you to the wrong destiny. So therefore, the number of teachings, the number of view are exhaustible, very exhaustible. So therefore, without relying on, so we have to rely on the pit instruction. Pit means essential, make a point. Once the Atisha was in Tibet, and he got 3 main disciples. The names are Ku, that's the number 1. The second is the Ngok, but you can't write in English Ngok, because it writes in the NGOK, you always call Ngok. So the in Tibetan Ngok and the Ngok is different, but you are lacking in English. Then number 3 is Drom. So Ku, Ngok, Drom, these 3 are his major disciples. And these 3 disciples asked Atisha, how did they ask a question? How they put a question? For someone to achieve liberation and a complete omniscience, which is more important? The canonical scriptures and the commentaries or the oral instructions of the teacher? Then the Atisha replied to this question. He answered the question. The teacher's instruction, Atisha replied, which means the canonical scriptures are not important, their commentary is not important, and the oral instruction is important. Then 3 of them asked a question back to Atisha, say why? Why teacher's instruction is so important than the other 2? Then the answer is this: because when it comes to doing the practice, even if you can explain, because when it comes to doing the practice, even if you can explain the whole, the Tripitaka from memory and are very skilled in metaphysics, without the teacher's practical guidance, you and the Dhamma will part company. So, they continued, is the main point of the teacher's instructions to keep the 3 vows and to strive to do good with the body, speech and mind? They questioned. And Atisha replied, that is not the slightest bit of use. Then they exclaimed, how can that be? And then the answer is, you may be able to keep the 3 vows perfectly, but unless you are determined to free yourself from the 3 worlds of samsara, it just creates further causes of samsara. You may be able to strive day and night to do good with the body, speech and mind, but unless you know how to dedicate the merit to perfect enlightenment, a few number of wrong thoughts are enough to destroy it entirely. So you may be teachers and the meditators full of piety and learning, but unless your minds are turned away from the 8 ordinary concerns, whatever you do will only be for this present life, and you will not encounter the path that helps for future lives. So this illustrates how important it is to be taken under the care of a teacher and a spiritual friend. So that means even you are a very logical person, even you have enough wisdom to tackle the mistakes and the misunderstanding, and even you have a reach of knowledge of a Buddha Dhamma, philosophy, intellect, and the spirituality. But if you are lacking the pith instructions from the great masters, then you do not know how to bring the practice into. Because you have an idea, and you are a very idealistic person and an individual, and logically you know how to put them into the practice, but the lack of exercise and the training well, so when you are at the stage of difficulties, and there are a lot of confusions if you go along with the logics. The logical explanation and the logical presentation is still failure. There are so many failures in this state. So only the free from the failure is the pit instructions. Why the pit instruction come from the master's experience, not his understanding. The pit instruction is not come from his logic. The pit instruction is not come from his intellect. The pit instruction is not presenting by intellectual understanding alone. So essential experience that he has been achieved. From there, the pit instructions presented, free from mistakes, free from stains, and free from the misunderstanding. So all these are importantly need to be associated along each and every hour study and the contemplation meditation. So therefore, the Atisha and his disciples being discussed, thorough discussion and a thorough communication and a correspondence given here helps us make our better choice. When you are in the spiritual path, simply making myself better is not really worthwhile, it's not really advisable. So to rely on the experiential master, get experiential pit instruction and bring them into the practice, in short period of time, you make a tremendous benefit from the practice. So then you save your energy, time and everything, and you make excellent the result from the practice. So therefore Atisha convinced, in this means he is or hinting us, or he hinted to all the disciples and practitioners to this way, then there will not be even a slightest mistake in your practice. So, checking your own life and the circumstances for each of the 8 freedoms and the 10 advantages which you have known already, I don't need to repeat it again. If you find that all these favorable conditions are present, the favorable conditions are present, you have what is known as a human life endowed with the 18 freedoms and advantages. However, the omniscient Dhamma King, the Longchenpa, in his wish, the granting treasury, and specifies 16 additional conditions which preclude any opportunity to practice the Dhamma, 8 the intrusive circumstances, and 8 incompatible the propensities under whose the choice it is important not to fall. So that is this. We're going to be. I'm going to finish this because it's simple. So I'm going to explain what are these. Now, according to the Longchenpa, the great master in the Nyingma tradition, so he designed or he invented. So he has made an invention. These 8 intrusive circumstances that leave no freedom to practice the Dhamma. Number one here it says, number one, people in whom the 5 poisons, there is negative emotions such as hatred for enemies, infatuation which friends and relatives and so forth are extremely strong, may wish from time to time that they could practice some kind of true Dhamma. But the 5 poisons are too strong, dominating their minds most of the time and preventing them from ever accomplishing the Dhamma properly. So which means 5 poisons. should be avoided, because this will disturb to be achieved the proper Dhamma practice. And you are overwhelmed or dominated by these powerful 5 poisons, which gives you no free. So in order to get rid of this, we have to be very strong and determined to fight against the 5 poisons. That's number 1. Number 2, very stupid beings, lacking even the slightest glimmer of intelligence, might enter the Dhamma, but being unable to understand a single word of the teachings or its meaning, they will never be able to study it or reflect and meditate upon it. So which means, if you are too stupid, of course everybody is stupid until enlightened, but being too stupid, then you don't have even slightest part of wisdom. So even you enter into the Dhamma, you would not understand a single word of Dhamma or the single word or single meaning of the Dhamma. So therefore, we should avoid the stupidity. Number 3, once people have been taken as disciples by a false spiritual friend who teaches the view and action in a perverted manner, their minds will be led onto wrong paths and will not be in accord with the true Dhamma. Incorrect view, incorrect manner. So if anybody teaches these, then he or she is the evil or the devil. He or she is not spiritual master, because all his or her teachings are against the real Buddha Dhamma. So one should avoid the negative master or negative teacher. Number 4, people who want to learn the Dhamma but are too lazy, without even a trace of diligence, will never accomplish it, because they are so entangled in their own indolence and the being prolonged, or you can call this the procrastination. So procrastination or being prolonged, which means lack of diligence, too lazy, always delay come to the teaching, delay to participate in the teaching, delay waking up in the morning, delaying meditation, to keep postponing. I cannot do tomorrow, I will attend the day after tomorrow. And then what about the day after tomorrow? Oh, cannot, because I will be busy. So that sort of like disturbances will never be able to cut through your difficulties. So therefore, avoid the laziness. Number 5, some people's obscurations and negative actions are such that in spite of the effort they put into Dhamma, they fail to develop any of the right qualities in their minds. Their backlog of bad actions has overwhelmed them, and they will lose the confidence in the teachings without perceiving that it is all due to their own past actions. So number 5 explains lack of the believing in the cause and the effect. So they're full of negativities. So one cannot give a rise the qualities. Although qualities existed, and you cannot give a rise these qualities or make it visible. So therefore, avoid the ignorance of cause and the effect or cause and the result. Number 6, those who are in servitude to someone else and have lost their autonomy may want to take up Dhamma, but the person who dominates them does not allow them to practice. So which means you are powerless. You are being under control by all circumstances. So that makes you delay always your practice. And you are unable to participate in teachings or whatever meditation course because you are powerless and dominated by circumstances and under control by the negative circumstances. Therefore, should avoid the controlling by negative circumstances. Be free to attend or participate in teaching at any time. Number 7, some people take up Dhamma out of a fear of this present life, that they might lack food or clothing or experience other afflictions. But since they have no deep conviction in the Dhamma, they give themselves up to their old habits and they get involved in things that are not Dhamma. So this is simple. Why? Because your motivation is wrong. When you enter into the Dhamma or approach the Dhamma, approach the master, then you're with the wrong motivation, the wrong intention, because all Dhamma that is going to be practiced is purposely you are looking for benefit. Simply in this single life, for the reputation, for the name, or for the cloth, or for the food, anything that is a temporary benefit, to gain that benefit, so you enter into Dhamma, approach the master. So there is not Dhamma as the proper, I said it that because with the wrong intention, with the wrong motivation, so we don't consider this is a real Dhamma practice. Number 8, others are impostors who, through the pretense of Dhamma, try to win possessions, services, and the prestige in front of others. They assume let people assume that you are real practitioner, but in their minds they are not only interested in this life, so they are far removed from the path of liberation. Artificial way of practitioner, artificial Dhamma, artificial practice to develop your name and reputation, and to let people believe you, and to give wrong belief or misbelief in you because you act as a real Dhamma practitioner, but your intention is for this single life, for the benefit of this life, and then you pretend as a Dhamma practitioner. So you are fooling people and cheating people, and your intention is to gain the worldly life pleasure and the worldly life benefit. So that is not the suitable conduct or the attitude towards the path of liberation. So these are 8 circumstances that render it impossible to continue practicing Dhamma. So I hope so. So there's 8 intrusive circumstances that leave no freedom to practice the Dhamma. And the next is the 8 incompatible, the propensities that leave no freedom to practice Dhamma. Will continue tomorrow. So time is up. That's it.